Good.
Yep. Or it wasn't. I'm telling you.
You want me to hit that?
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Gary Gabagool here with my boy Sal on the Red Podcast 32.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
And
what's up, Kenny? How you doing?
We're starting off with a little Sublime, and because what's occurring in the country, Hollywood, is a very appropriate song called "Date Rape," just complete insanity. But before we get this podcast started, there's an epidemic going on in this country, and Sal and I want, ask for as much help on this as I can. As you can see, help us find a cure for liberalism. It's a disease.
It is a disease.
So
there might be a book coming out how to cure it soon.
I wear this around, and liberals shit their pants when they see me. They're like, oh, you would see his shirt. Oh my God, look what he's making fun of us. So I wear it as often as I possibly can. I try to do that, but
oh man, it's so easy. Like, it's so easy to make fun of
them.
Like, everything they do is like, it's such a farce, and like they want everybody to think and live in their utopian society that doesn't exist.
No, they're morally superior utopian society. It's all it is morals. It has nothing to do with real life. Has nothing to do with being a good person.
It's about what we say, like what old people trying to impress Jane, it's all about image.
Right.
It's all about image and trying to impress, and nothing actual character.
Right.
It's all just a farce. It's all phony.
But it's funny because I have this discussion with liberals on a daily basis, and I say, why are you, as a group of people, always the fly in the ointment? You're always the finger pointers. They never have a solution for anything, because all you got to do is go back to 8 years of Obama, where he did absolutely nothing. He was the most unresults-oriented president in the history of our country, and they all thought it was great. Never took him to task. The media gave him a free pass for 8 years. They asked him bullshit questions like, "How's Buttons? How's Malia doing in grammar school?" Or the frig she was.
Buttons the dog.
Yeah, Buttons the dog. Meanwhile, they'll sit here and they'll rag on President Trump, and it's even funny because the Senate is now worried about this tax bill, and they're worried how much debt's going to be incurred, when their guy had like $14 trillion in debt, and not only did they say nothing, they kept putting the sand into the box, more. So it's so funny how, and like we talked about, it is a disease. There's a double standard. There's their way and everybody else's way, and they think as long as they keep pointing out that they're great and that they're superior, and they could say, oh, conservatives are all white guys. It's not true. It's not true. Matter of fact, if you look at the parties, Democrats are probably all white guys and old white ladies and crazy ass black ladies. That's who's part of the Democratic Party, big time.
Yeah, I mean, and what reeks about the Democrats is just how corrupt they are. Just the corruption, it just comes out of like their ears. It's
right.
How corrupt they are.
Well, it's funny. Sal will tell you what the podcast was called.
Yeah.
Dempsey hates the liberals as well.
But we've got corrupt politicians.
Yep.
We got Hollywood, and we have Islam. What do all three of these entities have in common?
It's funny Sam brought this up, because I wrote something down before he even mentioned it. And I said, let's look, examine, and scrutinize the individuals that are attacking President Trump. Let's just look at them, and we'll look at them as a group of individuals, and we can look at them individually, if that makes any sense, a group of people and individuals. But we have the media. The media has been proven to lie time and time again. I mean, it's been proven, and it's funny because I had an argument with the liberal, and he said Project Veritas is not believable. And I said, well, how so? He says they edit videos. I go, well, yeah, they edit videos for time. So he goes, I go, but they don't make the people say what they say. Like, let's commit a crime and go to Trump rallies and fight.
How could it be fake? Nothing about it is scripted.
Exactly. So that's who we're dealing with, the media, and they're scrutinizing the president. Then we have businesses. We got these businesses like today. We had the makers of the Keurig just on a whim pull off Sean Hannity. We also have had other outrageous CEOs writing things about President Trump, and these guys are the biggest lowlifes. They're the ones going on the Lolita Express. They're the ones that are doing all this crazy stuff. Then we have liberals, which we talk about. We don't need to get into them. We have the rhinos, who, in particular, I feel as much hate for them as anybody because they're the traitors. Mitch McConnell, John McCain, those two stand out to me front and center. Mitch McConnell needs to get fired. He needs to go. John McCain, his old ass, he looked old 10 years ago when he was running for president. What the hell is he still doing there? He's like dead man walking.
He was out of touch then.
Get him the fuck out. He's an old.
He's just
fossil.
out of touch.
He's out of touch.
Yeah.
But he'll be the first one to jump in. You would think a man his age would get to the end of his life and figure, I better start being honest. I better start, trying to be a good person.
At least leave some kind of good legacy. He's
Exactly.
going to leave his children just a shitload of scandal and horrible things to do.
He's got tons of money already. He married the lady who owns Heinz Ketchup. They're loaded. I mean, what are you doing? Well, how much more money do you need? You're 90 years old, for Christ's sake.
It's just about power at that point.
Right. It's all he cares about.
Like, power corrupts. It corrupts people's minds, for sure.
And then we have the NFL. The NFL is we can go on and on about the number of players they had and the number of felons they have and just people who are not good people. They weren't chasing that little brown ball around a field. They probably half of them would be in jail or would be gangbanging. Let's be honest. And the other guys would be drunks.
No, listen, there's a way to protest and it's not on the job. You don't get paid.
They don't get it.
Yeah, and they don't get that's another reason why people just hate them for it.
Right.
No, we don't get paid and be able to do whatever we want. We have to do our jobs.
Yeah. And we're not being paid $2 million a year.
And that's what gets me about them. And then, like I said in previous podcasts, if you think there's injustice in this world, there's been proven ways to get things done. Like go march.
Right.
Proven to work. And yet they want to continue to just get paid and then argue about it. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, I'll guarantee
until then, it's like no one's going to watch, no one's going to buy.
No,
Papa John is going to be pissed at you.
Right.
Like that's going to be that. Like,
I think this was the worst week of ratings that were there, and they've been pretty bad.
Yeah, they were trying to cover up. The Veterans Day boycott didn't work. And then you look at some of the pictures in the stadiums. It's like, I think it worked. It worked.
And then the last group we have are Hollywood and entertainment. Which are probably the worst of them all. That's what I'm going to tell you something. How hard it is to force rank these groups of scumbags. It's brutal because each one of them is really horrible. But Hollywood and entertainment are probably, them and the politicians are probably the worst of both worlds because they're all left-wing radical liberals and they have a lot of money. That's the big difference. These people are loaded compared to everyday Americans.
And especially those Hollywood pedo asses. They have the platform to go out there and people actually listen to them. So they go and they spray out all this nonsense about Trump or just about things that they don't like, misogyny, going back, things about women. And then what do? Exactly what the things that they're accusing other people of doing. It's ridiculous.
I have never seen such lunacy before, as Sal mentioned, that you have, and here's the thing, you know that they know what they've done in the past. You think they would keep their mouth shut, but you know what it is? They just can't help it. They're almost like in this weird denial, where they think like to be this upset with the way they were over Trump saying pussy in a locker room, and then you find out that guys like De Niro, Louis C.K., Kevin Spacey had sex with underage boys and girls and had the fucking nerve to come up there and say Trump's a misogynist, he's a pig. It's mind-boggling how you can even label the two as one incident.
This is what it is. This is I was thinking about this before when I got home from work. It's that Trump is like these Hollywood people. He's like these follow with me for a second. He's like the politicians. He's like the Hollywood because he's got the money.
Yep.
So they see him as an equal.
Yep.
And then he speaks and he freaks them out because he's actually, even though he's a billionaire, he's got all this money, he's got all this clout, he's normal.
Yeah.
He's a normal guy.
He's like us, except with a lot of money.
He's like when I say like us, he speaks like us, he thinks like us, he thinks in like what is best for the country, what is best for himself, what is best for his family. He doesn't go around peddling social justice and all this stuff. That's what freaks them out.
Right. Because
what do? All these Hollywood types, all these politicians, all they practice are those dark arts, those crazy, dark, the secret, like we're going to do shit with, they're going to do voodoo on you. They're going to do some pedophilia on your children. They're going to go and do the darkest arts that they can imagine. I mean, and then they're pissed at Trump because he goes, women love me And it's crazy how much women love fame. It's almost like you can go and grab their pussies.
Right.
And they get mad at him for that.
Well, it's
like,
yeah.
And that's a man on a woman not doing the shit that they do. Well, a man on an adult woman, correct, not doing it on a 16-year-old, 14-year-old, getting kids, drugging up, gay kids and doing that to them. It's crazy.
I mean, if you think about it, what Trump described is, I think there's a term called groupies. Mm-hmm. If you don't think there's groupies in rock bands, then you better wake the fuck up, because go read a story by Van Halen or Motley Crue or Def Leppard. Those are groupies. And there's no difference when you have groupies in sports, groupies in entertainment, groupies in movies. Let me tell you something. There's groupies in business.
And then there's people who just have fun with it, and then there's the people who take advantage, exactly, like the Democrats, like that R. Kelly dude who has a cult. Now. Yeah. He's got a cult of bitches just because they like his music. It's insane.
It's just nuts. But I just find it unbelievable that the stones that these people have, that they went and somewhere in their lives in the last 20 or 30 years, they abused children, whether it was a boy or a little girl. And they have the nerve to come up and pontificate and say how bad of a man Trump is, when it sickens me. You know what is so funny? I don't understand how someone in normal life who is even maybe friends with them or acquaintances doesn't crack them in the head and say, are you insane? You've been proven. There's emails or whatever, videos of you proving that you've done this, and you're attacking this man,
especially Bill Clinton,
because you don't like him. Exactly. That's even the worst. Juanita. It was funny. Chelsea Handler, who I can't stand, she's up there with one of my most hated people in Hollywood. She's such an ugly, skinny ass, arrogant, shitty comic. She's not even funny. She came out and said something about Roy Moore, who we'll go into next. And Roy Moore, listen, Sal and I are not going to sit here and say whether he did it or not. We don't know. It was 30 years ago. But let's get this straight, and we'll get into it more. But Chelsea Handler came out and started ripping him on Twitter. Meanwhile, people are saying, wait a second, Chelsea. This is someone who's accusing this man of doing something. The people that you support have actually raped a woman named Juanita Broderick. They actually raped her. Or your buddy Harvey Weinstein, who you have pictures with your arm around, raped women. He raped lots of women, and you supported him. Or let's talk about Juanita Broderick. She actually left her a message and say, yeah, I know what you're talking about, Chelsea Handler. I was raped by Bill Clinton, who you support, and went around the country supporting. So this is the way their hypocritical mind works. And they are so pompous and arrogant, they don't even see the hypocrisy in what they're saying.
No, that's why they go and spray it out to everybody.
I would be fucking embarrassed to say what Chelsea Handler said, because I would be saying, after I hit that enter button or that send button on my tweet, whatever, I would be like, oh my God, how embarrassing.
Yeah, and before we get into Roy Moore, like the Atlantic today, the Atlantic publication, which is probably, other than like Business Insider, BuzzFeed, it might be the most left you can get, is the Atlantic. And they were calling for people to go after Bill Clinton now. That was amazing.
That's amazing.
Because they said he got away with all this shit in '98, and now bad things are happening now because of it. Like all the Weinstein. Yeah, now people think it's time to hold people accountable, and not then. And now they were calling for people to hold Bill Clinton accountable. I thought when I read that, holy shit, this is the Atlantic.
It's all Democratic politicians. They never held accountable.
But I never saw a Democratic publication like that go after a Democrat before. I was like, oh my goodness.
That is. Yeah, I was shocked. Yeah. But like we were talking about Roy Moore, and if people don't know who he is, there's a critical thing about this. He's an Alabama senator who just got in. He beat Luther, and what's his name? Luther Strange. Yeah. And the thing that's his vote in the Senate is going to be critical for the conservatives, because he's very concerned to the Republicans if his seat gets lost. So what do? They bring up a woman who just claims when she was 14 he did this. Then when you scratch the surface, you find out this woman worked for Hillary Clinton. She's a very left-end liberal Democratic activist. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say whether I knew her, but it's funny. And here's to build on what Sal and I are talking about. This is like building blocks of hypocrisy. We don't need a fucking wall from Mexico. They build their wall of lying. That's how high it is. Bob Menendez here in New Jersey actually got indicted, and he's on trial right now for a series of crimes, including having sex with underage hookers. There's another gentleman, Democrat out of Minnesota named Peterson, who also had sex and harassed people he worked with, interns, girls in college. Both of those, it's proof. There's facts, there's witnesses, there's everything that you need to do to get someone convicted, and they're probably on the borderline of getting, doing so. And what do the Democrats say about that? Nothing. Matter of fact, I shouldn't just rag on Democrats. Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, those two scumbags, came out in support of Menendez today, and we're saying that Roy Moore needs to step down ASAP. Now think about that, people. As Republicans or conservatives, whatever you call yourself, even independents, even if you're maybe center-line Democrats, to know that you have two Republicans in our party asking a man to step down on someone accusation. Meanwhile, they have people that are in court with tons of proof and they don't say shit and support them. They are the enemy. And that's the difference between, when we do our Red podcast, that's the difference between Sal and I and all the liberals out there. We will call out the rhinos that suck. We do it every week. And people say we call out George Bush. We've done it multiple times. We call out a group of 6 or 7 rhinos on a daily basis, including these 3 scumbags of McCain, McConnell, and Lindsey Graham, and also Paul Ryan at times. Get rid of them. I'm sick of them. They're scumbags. They're probably in the swamp. They're getting paid off. They have their hands out. The DNC is their lifeblood. That's how they're making, because the RNC ain't giving them no fucking money. There ain't no money to give them there.
Let's talk about why the Libs and these rhinos really want Roy Moore to step down. They're going by, of course, his rhetoric, the things that he said.
Yes.
So Roy Moore famously called Obama a Muslim.
Yep.
He's one of the few.
I did too.
Yeah, but
I did. Yeah,
but you're not a politician.
Right.
And then he's also, this is something maybe he should go back on, but who knows? He seems to be highly religious, so we'll go. He goes.
They probably don't like him for that.
He says homosexual acts should be illegal. About.
That's probably a tough thing, and I think probably what Sal just said is one of the reasons why they're after him.
And then he also, but this is something that me and you also believe. He goes, there's portions of the U.S. communities that are in the United States right now that are living under Sharia law.
Yeah,
without a doubt,
absolutely.
So they get on him because of the Muslim thing, and I think the homosexual.
Well, I agree with 2 out of the 3. The homosexual thing is out there. I mean, that's ridiculous. And a person in today's
what society, like, you need to just whatever, just be like indifferent to it.
Yeah, that's something. Now listen, I'll be the first to say you can't be saying that.
But here's the thing. This is where I was going to go from that. Remember how a couple podcasts ago I was like, these crazy old right-wing people who were like, the ban gay people, all this shit. Guys, I don't know if you saw this story. This isn't a recent story. This is a story about a Twitter executive. This man says that his 3-year-old son came up to him and says he wants to be a girl. A 3-year-old son, mind you, 3, came up and told him.
He's straight?
I didn't look. I don't want to get that.
I'm just wondering.
I don't want. This guy's disgusts me so much. I don't even know a lot about him. But anyway, he goes, "Okay, son, 3-year-old son, you can be a girl. Let me start giving you hormones right now." So he's giving a 3-year-old baby hormones to become a girl. What's going to happen with these hormones is the kid's never going to reach puberty, man or female puberty. Right. He's going to become a eunuch. Is what's going to happen. This poor baby. Child abuse. This poor baby. No. The 3-year-old said he wants to be a girl. He said it. To his father, and his father said, "Okay."
That father should have that kid taken away.
This is what the crazy right wing people that were like, ban that gay shit, because as soon as they allow it, they're gonna start doing things to the kids. They were right.
Yeah,
it's insane. As much as Roy Moore is crazy for saying homosexual act should be illegal, he's kind of right. That's all I'm gonna say. He's kind of right.
You can't listen. You can't be doing that. Listen, I have in my life, I have seen, through my friends who have children. Going, I've seen kids who are 11 or 12, and maybe
you're setting that kid up for failure.
Right. Well, maybe the father's out of the mix. The father divorced the mother; he's not around, and the mother is treating her son like a girl, playing with dolls. And listen, the kid's 10, the kid's 11. To me, that's way too young to give identity politics into this. You let the kid. You got to let him go until he's 18, and then he decides. And whatever he wants to do then, that's his business. But up until then, you can't have a 10 or 11-year-old. You can't be, doing that kind of stuff. I mean, you just can't. It's not right. It's abuse.
It is abuse. Now, there is no such thing as child abuse. Like, pretty soon they're trying to make it there is no such thing as pedophilia.
Right.
They're just trying to normalize it. It's really scary.
I mean, I'm telling you something. It's weird. I remember watching Howard Stern back in the day when he was on WNBC, a long time ago. And he would have the head of NAMBLA, which is the North American Man-Boy Love Association. And this is how crazy life has become, guys. Back then, that guy was trashed. I mean, we used to listen to him. He would get the worst hate mail. I think he was out of Canada. He would come to America, but he believed in all this, grown men with young boys. And it's funny because
the dark arts.
Right. You probably don't know this, but Obama's Secretary of Education was a gay principal who became Secretary of Education. He wrote his epilogue in his book, and so he was in favor. Matter of fact, this principal at the time, who Barack Obama appointed Secretary of Education, had a 15-year-old boy come up to him once and say that he was going to have sex with a 38-year-old man, which in every state is statutory rape. Instead of reporting it to the police, this principal gave him condoms and said, just make sure you use these. And that's who Obama appointed. So here we are now. The reason I bring NAMBLA up is now here we are. And just like Sal said, they want to make this stuff all acceptable. And if you even have one brain cell expiring in your head, you'll notice the last 3 weeks since Harvey Weinstein came out, all this Hollywood stuff, we have all these individuals who have had sex with boys. I mean, we can go on and on. The list is as long as my arm. You can go on with, between,
go wherever you want to go.
Ever.
Politicians,
yeah,
Hollywood people.
All these people. So
the agents, the agencies, the head fucking people.
So they want to make this all normal, like Sal said. And 25 years ago, you would never even think this would be a case. 30 years ago, you'd be like, no way. And now here we are. And they're trying. So yeah, it's a little scary. Anything else you got going there? Because I got something that came out this morning, and I was fired up. And it doesn't sound like Julian Assange is making a veiled threat. He came out today, and he said that if Donald Trump or Jeff Sessions does not prosecute Hillary or have her arrested by November 21st, which is only about 8 days away, he said that he will expose all of her stuff. And here's the difference from what he's done in the past. In the past, he's only shown crimes that she's committed against America, treason. And he said right now that he has proof that she sold patented military secrets on our weapons to Saudi Arabia, a Secretary of State. That's how she probably got that $450 million plus everything from Uranium One. But he also said that he has proof of very big time crimes against Russia, Uzbekistan, Caledonia, Brazil, and Lithuania. And he said those countries will prosecute her when they hear what she's done. So let's hope, people, that 8 days from now, that if he takes it out of America's hands and they put it in the hands of these other countries, something may get done finally.
I mean, we can hope and pray, but that seems far-fetched to me.
It could.
I really want that to be.
Yeah, true. Maybe I'm wishful thinking.
I'm wishful thinking for it too, but
But I have no doubt she did all that stuff. No doubt.
Of course. My God. So, just the stuff that came out, like a week or two ago about how they showed, Barack Obama put the Democratic National Committee, the Democratic National Party, $24 million in debt. They had proof of this.
Yeah.
$24 million in debt, $15 million bank debt alone.
Right.
So they were bankrupt going into this previous election. So what happened? Hillary came in, funded the whole party. Yeah, and that's how she got the nominee.
Did everything illegal.
Straight backhanded. So just knowing that she's capable of doing something like that, well, of course she's doing this stuff.
It's amazing how Hillary Clinton just does whatever she wants. She runs roughshod over the Democratic Party. It's almost like they're all afraid of her. And speaking of, there's this dude from Russia named Joseph Mifsad. He's a Russian liaison it was funny, how these Russians are. There's like a typical movie Russian. When he's sober, he's not really saying much, but when he gets drunk, he tells all his friends and colleagues that he has all this information on Clinton that could get her arrested, in trouble. Well, this guy disappeared last week, and he's nowhere to be found. So we don't know if he went underground. He was in Rome teaching at a university there, came out of class and disappeared. No one can find him. So most likely, Mr. Missud is MIA. He's probably, I'm going to use some acronyms. If he's MIA, he's probably DOA as well. But if he got involved with Hillary Clinton, that's probably the case. That's probably the case. Man,
I wanted to bring up this this Louis C.K. stuff because
go ahead.
It's so funny. It's so hypocritical. I want to bring it up. First, I'm going to tell you guys a personal story, though, about this girl I was dating in New York, and we're not going to give away any names of business, but she was the head dance teacher at an acting school. And we were talking, she was big into comedy, and I was talking to her, we were trying to go see like Bill Burr or something. She didn't know who Bill Burr was. Yeah. So I was like, all right, how big in comedy are you? You don't know who Bill Burr is. So I was like, who's your favorite comedian? She's like, Louis. I was like, all right. Blah, blah, blah. Things kept going. The thing is, it came out that she realized that I was sort of a Trump supporter and I'm all about this stuff. Done. Immediately done.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, not a word spoken. Kind of ghosted me. It was like, all right, that's that. I see how it is. I understand.
Interesting.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Interesting.
And so this Louis C.K. stuff comes out. And that's what just always sticks out in my head, that she loved this guy so much.
Yeah.
And she hated Donald Trump so much. Well, go figure who the real misogynist pig is.
Exactly.
Who the real jerk-off is here. Louis Seletsky.
Yeah, it's funny when you hear a story like Sal's. This is typical liberal behavior. This is why it is a disease. That's why I wear the shirt. I wear it proudly. That is a perfect example of a girl who's a liberal, liking Sal, and everything's cool, going out. And it would happen to any of us. But listen, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'll flip the channels around, or I'll flip the scene. If I had a girl who was a liberal and just started, talking, and I would, if she was cool and just said I like Hillary, I know me personally, I could never be with her, because I would have to most definitely question her mental ability, because all the things we talk about. But here's a situation where Sal just said he supported President Trump, who's our president, and this girl is like just dogs him. So it's hilarious, because here's the guy who's the real piece of shit.
Yeah, the real piece of shit, Louis.
The real piece of shit.
And it's so funny to me, like, that it's coming out now that dude's comedy was all just a smokescreen for his vile behavior and stuff, and that he had a movie coming out that day when this all broke that got pulled, about how the whole plot of the movie was like a young teen girl falling in love with an older man, and that whole story that he loves Woody Allen, and that's who we got like all his his motivation. I was like, wow, this dude is a serious creep that's just been in the spotlight for in all of our faces.
I always couldn't stand him though. I hated him.
No, yeah, it was never like he was the greatest or anything. It was just like, oh, it's Louis, it's funny, sort of, whatever. He's not. But then when he got political, it was just like, what? All these people who got political, they all cast stones and they all live in glass houses. It's insane.
It's insane. Like we said, keep your mouth shut, especially when they're like so proactive about it. Like, I can understand, listen, like if you're walking down the street after you do a comedy show or a movie and someone says, hey, what do you think President Trump? And he's like, you know what? I'm not going to vote for him.
Yeah, I'm sorry, if you aren't aware of Louis C.K., he's a comedian, but he was got by 5 or 6 people who wanted to masturbate in front of them and do all kinds of shit. I'm just in case people didn't understand.
Right, he's a Weinstein. He pulled a Weinstein. Yeah. But I mean, listen, like I look at it this way, and this is the way I think. Like, if you're one of these scumbags that did what they did that we just talked about, Sal talked about, and you're walking down the street and someone says to you, hey so and so, who you vote for president? And I'd rather not say, oh, come on, is it Trump? And you just kind of laugh, nah, I'm going the opposite way. Okay, that's fine. Everyone's got their opinion. No one's going to shit on you for that. But when someone becomes so proactive, like these Ashley Judds of the world, the Madonnas, Louis C.K., the De Niros, and they are the ones who have participated in all this insane behavior, Bill Clintons of the world, like ridiculous, and it's just nuts, and this does not stop. This is why you're hated. This is why people call you an asshole. This is why if we were able to come up and punch you in the mouth, we would, without going to jail. Because I'd like to punch every one of these fuckers in the mouth, because they are such moronic scumbags. And the liberals I argue with every day on Facebook are the same. They use the same narrative. They're the same way, except they're not wealthy. That's the only thing different about them. I mean, you get these people this week. This week I was at an all-time high arguing with liberals all over the place. For some reason, there's been a trend on my Facebook page where other people who are conservatives attach their friends who are liberals. And once they do that, it becomes a free-for-all. Yeah. And it's fine. I don't mind it. But you see, like, one guy was calling me a 1%er. That's why I like Trump. And I was laughing. I was like, you don't even know me. And then another guy was a psychologist.
We were in the 1% shit.
Yeah, it's
a lot different.
Yeah, then there's a guy who was a psychologist in a college who started going crazy on these women, calling them every vulgar name. I'm like, you're a psychiatrist. You're a psychopath yourself. Who the hell would come to you? Because he had pictures with Hillary, he had pictures with Obama, and these are like his heroes. But they just can't be honest with themselves. It's almost like it's impossible. They can't. It's like in order for them to look at themselves and see how hypocritical they are, you almost have to have one of their children injured or hurt, and even then they probably won't believe it.
Yeah, for real. Well, speaking of someone I would love to punch in the face, this guy Bruce Maxwell. He's the only baseball player who kneeled, and that's the sport.
He plays in the A's, right?
Yeah, that's the sport that I love, and I will continue to watch. This asshole. Speaking of transference on other people, this guy. There's injustice out there. People are getting assaulted with weapons. It's all crazy. So what's this guy going to do? He goes and gets arrested for aggravated assault with a weapon.
Yes, he's carrying a gun.
Complete hypocrite. And then he also was found out that he lied. He went to this restaurant in Alabama, and he said the waiter refused to serve him because he was liberal or whatever.
Right.
They went to that restaurant and asked they asked the owner, they asked the complete fabrication. He wasn't even there. He didn't even go to Alabama.
I think he got picked up. He got picked up by the cops.
This dude, I hope that I think the A's dropped him already. I hope he just never plays baseball ever again. Yeah. And that's somebody, if I did see him, I would just get straight up throat punched. Yeah.
These are the crazy athletes. Because listen,
I'm just going along with you. Like the liberal transference of their behavior onto you is crazier right now than I've ever seen before.
Well, even the dude in Seattle, Michael Bennett, same thing. He said the Vegas police abused him. Well, guess what? They pulled out the video and they did nothing. They treated him completely respectful. And you're saying to yourself, first off, how dumb are these guys to know that there's cameras out there? There's everything's video today, whether you know it or not, especially in a police car. And secondarily, like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, are you this delusional where you're going to say you're just going to make up a story that a cop abused you or someone in a restaurant abused you when there was no such thing done? Like Bruce Maxwell,
everyone has to be a victim.
Right.
Everyone has to be a victim.
And we don't even know who you are. And here's the scary part. Bruce Maxwell, I don't know what he makes, but I bet he makes a lot of money. And I know for a fact Michael Bennett makes a lot of money. So what would you even waste your time with all this nonsense?
Did you see, I know it's like a cliche, but I know you didn't watch it live, but did you see the South Park clip of one of their new episodes?
No.
The DNA test?
No.
It's so funny. They have an episode, everybody's going that 23andMe and all that bullshit DNA.
Yeah.
So they get it back. They're like, I'm 10% victim. I'm 45% victim. Yes, I just got my DNA test back. I'm 69% victim. Yeah, that's what it is. Everybody just wants to do it so they see what kind of minority you are. Yeah. So they're like, listen, I'm a victim too here. Yeah. I'm on your boat.
Well, that's kind of a funny like if I'm not doing 23 DNA, I'm not doing it. But my wife wants to do it. But if I did do it and it came up as I'm Sicilian. So just say, there's that movie.
You're definitely part black.
Well, say there's something that, now what am I going to do? I'm going to say, do I get reparations? I mean, come on, this is ridiculous.
You get 46% reparations now, man.
Do I, check off a box on the thing that I'm African? This is so
That's what they want.
It is. It's so nuts. And I think there's a motive behind it besides making money. Yeah. That's part of it.
I'm part victim, too.
But speaking of victim, I saw something in the NYPD. My buddy Ralph has a couple good buddies in the NYPD that are higher upstairs. I've known these guys since 1988, 87. Back in the day, we used to go out, and now these guys are lieutenants or captains, and some of them. And so I read something about Wiener and Yuma Abedin, and I made some phone calls to these guys. I have their cell phone numbers, and they couldn't tell me flat out, but the way it works is I can ask one question and they'll just kind of go, yeah. But supposedly what I read, and they kind of agreed, or they confirmed that Yuma Abedin on Anthony Weiner's computer had 650,000 emails of Hillary Clinton. 650,000. And they were under a file called life insurance. So let's get this straight. Yuma Abedin, oh, here's another thing. On the computer and on the emails, it showed Hillary Clinton being a pedophile. She liked to have sex with young underage girls. Yuma Abedin being one of them when she first came from Saudi Arabia. And then Yuma Abedin, she kind of took it under her wing and then, brought her here. She happens to get involved with this scumbag Weiner. She never thought, she knew he was a lowlife, but she never thought that he was going to get snagged for sexting kids. So now he's in jail. But so when he goes to jail, what happens? NYPD comes and confiscates all his computers, his server, everything. They didn't get time to destroy it because it happened so quick. And now you have all these illegal ties to Saudi Arabia that's on the computer. And my buddy and a couple of his friends said they have it and that things will be coming out. So now, who dies now? Yuma Abedin dies, or does Weiner die? Do both die? Something's going down.
Freak accident during conjugal visit.
Yeah. This is going down. So we all know of all the craziness that this woman is involved with. I can't even believe someone at some point just doesn't say enough. We can't cover for this woman anymore. She's a psychopath. She is so out of control.
Like, this is what I always think of too. I remember when Google got really popular, mid 2000s, and what that did is no one could really talk out of their ass anymore,
right?
Because everyone, I'm going to Google that.
Yeah,
I'm going to Google this. I'm going to Google
that.
Yeah. So all of Hillary stuff, she predates that Google search. So she still thinks in her mind that she can get away with all this crap.
Yeah,
and that it isn't searchable, and that people do enough digging, they'll find everything.
Right.
She's part of that older crowd who's like, what's the internet? What's all this about? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's true. Well, it's kind of like if let's correlate this to a movie or a show we know. Like when you have a villain who's so fucking crazy, and you're saying to yourself, "Holy shit!" They're doing so much crazy stuff that even if people are trying to help them or cover for them, just can't do it anymore. Yeah. Like a Game of Thrones, say, with Cersei.
That I was thinking the Joker and Batman.
Yeah, they're so out of control that it's like
Cersei, Queen Cersei.
Yeah, it just falls through the crack. People just can't deal with the insanity of. It's not just like one focused front. She's doing everything, and so people, just by coincidence, information falls into your lap. People die. People get hurt. People come forward. There's witnesses. It's just, and it's amazing to me. I gotta say, the fact that Hillary Clinton is still not in shackles and orange jumpsuit is mind-boggling to me. I can't. Sometimes I look at her, she doesn't even look worried.
No, she isn't worried at all.
I don't understand how this woman can.
Well, ignorance is bliss.
Oh,
so you know that.
I mean, does she think she's that above the law? Does she think she's that powerful, or does she think these guys, someone is not going to do something? And she has no. Bill Clinton doesn't even give a shit either. Barack Obama. None of them give a shit.
It's known too that this woman has got serious health problems.
Maybe that's part of the reason.
Serious health problem. Maybe that's what. Maybe it is part of the reason. Maybe the drugs just have her so on a loop. She's queen of the world in her mind.
She is actually. I hate to say, the evil queen. I mean,
she is. We want to correlate it to Game of Thrones. She is Queen Cersei.
I've been following this woman for 35 years. I've been from the days back in Arkansas. I've been following her, because it was kind of weird. I always thought Bill Clinton had this weird meteoric rise. I mean, you're from Arkansas. Nothing against if any people are viewing here from Arkansas, but you're not in a major metropolitan area, man.
Trendsetters and world blazers over there in Arkansas.
He was charismatic. I'll give him that. At some point he was charismatic. I didn't get it. I didn't fall for it at all. Matter of fact, back about 2008, 2009, he spoke at one of our conferences on the water in New York, in Manhattan, and I got up and walked out, and I got in trouble for it because he was. You could just say he was bullshitting. He's telling his goofy accent and that corny ass laugh of his, and everyone's kissing, all the Democrats kissing his ass. And I just got up and went to the bathroom. I didn't come back, and I got in trouble. I said, "Fuck it, I'm not going to sit here and listen to this jerk off. I'm going to sit here and listen." I went to the bar and got a drink, and I waited for him to finish, and then I came back and I got scolded. And I just said, screw you, I'm going to leave, and I did.
There's a good article to read in the New Yorker, actually. The title of the story is, "The Democrats are in a civil war, even if the media does not want to pay attention."
That's great.
It's beautiful. It's a great story.
That's a great story.
It's a good read.
That's great.
Just throwing that out there, because we see all this crazy shit that they pull and they think they're going to get away with. You want to see, this is the craziest thing I read today. This is an actual headline I saw today from Business Insider, word for word. "If you make $500,000 a year, you're about to be screwed." Just think about what I said without, like, I know it's really fun. It's comical when you think, if you're making $500,000 a year, how are you screwed? Because how are you screwed?
Who are they dressing?
How are they screwed? They're making $500K a year. You're gonna feel screwed, but and then they actually broke it down.
Well, I thought the liberal viewpoint was this is going to favor all the rich people,
right? But I guess $500,000 isn't rich, right? That's an actual headline, and then when you read into it, only 9% of people making $500,000 and above would actually get a tax increase.
Right. And that's what they're.
That's an actual headline from today.
It's insanity, and there's something that Sal just mentioned, and I'll be the first to admit to you, I looked over I know some people are going crazy over the tax plan. Here's where the problems lie, from what I can see. Donald Trump put forward his tax plan. The Senate and the House got a hold of it and completely massaged it and changed it. And so now, I don't know if that's what's going to be voted on. I need to look into it further. I have to. But right now, it does look like they messed with it a little bit. And unfortunately, when you get politicians who do this, it's not good. It's not good at all. And that's just something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Because if I don't like the tax plan, I'm not going to, Sal's not going to just say, blow smoke up your ass and say it's a great tax plan if I don't think it is. I just don't want to go look at it because it could change, like Obamacare. It could change when these guys get their hands on shit, they use all their personal preferences and stuff.
Since it dropped, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, it's already changed.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
And when it comes to fruition, you and I will go over it. We'll go over it.
When it actually is laid out.
Exactly. What else you got? Anything?
I got some stuff. Did you see? I'll stay with just like superficial stuff right now. You saw the UCLA basketball players that stole shit in China.
Those guys are going to get in trouble, man. They're in the wrong place.
Well, they don't realize you can't steal shit in communist countries. But anyway, Trump is over there. Did you see what he did? He threw them all a bone. Because he's in China right now. He's like, he asked them personally to be lenient and let them go.
And aren't these guys all hate him?
These are three fucking scumbags.
Yes.
Like, one is LeAngelo Ball. I don't know if you know about the whole Ball family. Like, if that family got all murdered, it wouldn't even affect me one bad way. I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry if that sounds crazy, people, but
you want to talk about a nut.
Scum of scum and arrogant of arrogant. These people think that they're God's gifts, and
they're
nothing special at all. They're not even good looking.
Yeah, they're not. I've seen them.
They're hideous
All
people.
Skinny idiots.
Hideous looking.
But and he's the guy that that everyone hates, and he's asking. But if you don't,
and Trump is helping them.
Right. If you're so ignorant that you know not to steal something in China, you got to be a moron.
I'd say the president doesn't help everyone.
Right.
He is. He's trying to.
And they're probably 3 minority kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You're playing basketball in college. I went to Monmouth, all right, and that was D2. No, actually for basketball it's D1. Kids are scumbags. Every one of them.
Yep.
Every athlete I've ever seen.
Oh
my God, this is Monmouth University. I've never seen entitlement.
Right.
It's like, this is Monmouth University. You're not in Georgetown, dude. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, they think that.
That's why I would go and fuck with their locker room.
So what about you guys? Anyway, so I gotta take a quick leak. Yeah. So we'll talk about one thing. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
All right.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this moral compass before, and the way everyone on the left seems to think that they're morally superior than all of us, trying to make us feel bad. So I don't know if you guys saw what was going down in Germany today. This guy, I'm not going to pronounce his name right. It was this old-fashioned designer. He looked like death anyway. But anyway, he was calling out Merkel for bringing in all the immigrants, saying that they brought in millions and millions of these people, and it was all just for this lady's image and character, and trying to prop her up and build her up and make her seem like such a grandiose leader and a leader of all these people. But what happened when these people got there, all these immigrants? They tore up that whole country. You know what the Syrians say? This is an exact quote from a Syrian neighborhood in Germany, living in the ghettos in Germany. This is what they say about German people. a Syrian. The greatest thing Germany ever did was the Holocaust. That's an exact quote from these people. This is the kind of evil that they allowed into their country. Not to mention, if you ever look at, like, we'll stay in Germany here, and this is actual German people now hating on Jews. You go look at a Bundesliga football game, soccer game over there. They even hold up signs calling out the Holocaust and how much they love it. This is like a sick, demented group of people over there.
Thanks, hold on.
No problem. I'm talking about how Merkel brought in all the immigrants, and how the Syrians are disrespecting Germany by saying the Holocaust is good,
right,
and all that stuff.
It's funny you mention this because I read somewhere where a German physician, who I guess there's a lot of sickness going on in Germany because these people are so dirty and they don't believe in personal hygiene, and so especially all the Middle Easterners and the African Muslims, they will not let her treat them. So they come into the hospital. Not only do they let them, it isn't like they say to her, we don't want you to treat us. They're disrespectful to her. They throw stuff at her. They try. She's been physically assaulted. And Merkel to sit here and this week on Facebook, someone sent me from Germany who I didn't know, sent me an article saying that Germany said Trump is a clown and he's reducing America around the country and the first thing around the world. And the first thing I noticed is you have the nerve to talk about our president when you have Merkel. Yeah. She is one of the worst presidents in the world. I mean, she's as bad as the scumbag in North Korea. Except not as nutty as him, obviously, but
she doesn't have a military.
But she's destroyed her country, destroyed it, and she sits there. I mean, if you know the amount of rapes that goes on in Germany and Muslims and how it's disgusting.
It's absolutely unreal. And then she just goes about it, let's bring in more immigrants.
I can't believe they keep voting her in. I can't believe it.
It's corruption, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It's unreal, but I don't know. What do you want to go into?
You have anything else? Because I was going to talk about the podcast.
The podcast? All right. So
you want to talk about something else? Yeah. Go ahead. Talk about something, and then we'll go into that.
So I've been talking a lot about how Hollywood's dying and the movie theaters are crumbling. And the story came out. Hey, Dan. The story came out about Star Wars coming out. Everyone's favorite movie franchise and all that stuff. So with whoever owns Lucasfilms, Disney, I'm pretty sure it's Disney owns Star Wars now.
They own everything.
Disney wants 70% of ticket sales from the movie theaters going forward from Star Wars. And I think all the other movies that Disney's about to do. They want... The movie theaters are going bankrupt as is. Like I was telling Gary before today, they're trying to sell now merchandise and toys. And they're trying to make it all like a glorified toy store now. Because that's all they're not selling anything. No one's actually going to the theaters. So that is just going to bankrupt these movie theaters. Bankrupt.
I think, I'll ask your opinion, but I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think it's a combination of the expense of a movie theater. Yeah. I think it's like the internet, the way the internet destroyed, music and stuff. It did the same. However, I do think there's an element that people just hate Hollywood.
Well, that's what it is now. It's just that
they hate them.
We were saying the actors casting stones in Glass House. That's them, and everyone sees it. So everyone's like, "I'm not going to go pay for you,
right?
To go be, Well, that's what people realize too now. Going to see these movies is putting money in these guys' pockets.
Right.
Why would I do that?
Right.
Why would I honestly go do that?
It's kind of like when you were a kid, and if you liked entertainment, you liked puppet shows. Even if you like something that you saw on the stage, and you were going to have to go there, and then the person goes on a tangent and starts talking about their personal beliefs. People are like, I don't give a shit about that. Just it's kind of like the monkey. Hit the cymbals together and shut up. Just dance. And I know that sounds arrogant, but when we're paying you to do so, we don't want to hear you talk about your personal political belief systems. It sucks. That's why when you go to a Springsteen concert or a Bon Jovi concert, how can anyone listen to these buffoons? These are guys who are ultra rich. They come from our neck of the woods here in New Jersey. Both of them are hypocritical scumbags. Both of them are worth millions. Bruce Springsteen talks about against cops and oppression. He has 2 armed guards in front of his house 24/7 every single day, 365 a year. And they both are always Democrats, but they both. One says he has a farm because he has some tomato plants, and the other says he does honey because he has a bee farm. He probably has one thing that is good, and they get like this ridiculous rate on farms, so they save. They both own compounds. Bon Jovi, I don't know if you ever saw what this guy lives on. He lives on the Navasink. He lives in it's like a huge. He's got a bar, a legit bar that you would like go to on his thing. He's got a recording studio. It's like 5 acres in New Jersey. That would probably be like you're talking taxes of probably like $500,000 in taxes a year. He pays probably not even a tenth of that. So these are these hypocrites. Nobody wants to hear your shit. Just perform and shut your mouth. And that's what's happening in movies. And they're being, they're hitting the brunt of bad news, because once the movie theaters go out, no one's going to go see their films anymore. You're going to see their rates ridiculously reduced. They already are, because they're losing so much money.
So
it becomes a business then.
Okay. We can go. I don't know if I want to get into the visa stuff.
Yeah, go ahead. You talk about that.
I want to talk. I'm not going to talk about the immigrants and the visas. Even though there's like 30,000 visas were given, lottery visas given to
exactly the way that guy was in New York. That's what he was one of them. Yeah.
But I want to talk first. Maybe we won't get into that. We'll learn a little bit more before I go into it. But today, or the other day, I want to talk about this Jerry Brown, dude.
He's nuts.
The governor of California.
He may have dementia.
He might, because I don't know if you guys saw this story that came out. He's at a global climate conference overseas in Europe. And it was just basically a nothing conversation, a nothing report to do. Just this reporter goes, "Hey, Jerry, are you enjoying the conference?" and blah, blah, blah. And Jerry Brown, from those words, "Are you enjoying the conference?"
He went on a rant.
He goes on a tangent rant like no other. On the word, he goes off on the word joy. Yeah. What do you mean enjoy? What's to enjoy? I like doing things like every day. I do this. I like doing that. Am I enjoying myself? No, I'm doing. And he just goes so weird. It was like the way it was asked. It was like a yes or no answer.
Yeah,
Like, you enjoying yourself? Yeah. Okay.
Because he's probably shot to shit. He's been around a long time,
and he just rambles on that most things he doesn't enjoy, but this and this in life he likes, and it's just like, how crazy are you? How fucking crazy are you, man? And then it was just the most bizarre interview, and then it was just like, these are the representatives for the Democrats.
Well,
these psychos.
If you look at California's leadership, starting with Jerry Brown, he's been around 40 plus years, easy. The guy who got to be in his
he's 80.
Yeah, he's
79.
Right, I knew he was old. Then you have Dianne Feinstein. She's like 78, and she's going for re-election. She shot the shit. Then you have Nancy Pelosi. We all seen her in the last year. She's like stuttering. She's going nuts. She's talking all crazy. That's another one. Then you have what's the other one's name? She was in Curb Your Enthusiasm. She was in a couple episodes of that. I forget her name, but she's another crazy. She's old too. But these people have been around forever, and you're like wondering like, what? Like, how is it in the business world when you're 55, 60, 65, you're forced to retire? Like, they basically put you out the pasture and say, collect your Social Security and go away. In the political system, these guys continue to run up to 25, 15, 20 years later. It's ridiculous.
In any other walk of life, though, any other profession you could see that has that kind of power to the job, what do people do? Abuse it most of the time. So what do you think? Most of these people aren't abusing their power in there for 40 years?
Well, that's how they get so rich. And
mind-boggling how people just keep voting for it.
And you figure like this poor guy who asked Jerry Brown a simple, innocuous question like, "Are you enjoying the conference?" Now listen to this asshole go on a tirade,
and then try to make the reporter look dumb. The guy was just like,
I would have just walked away.
That's what the guy ended up doing. He's like, okay,
I would have just let him talk to himself. I would just left in the middle of the thing.
What a nut job.
He's a maniac.
But that was really all the stuff I had today. We went through a lot of shit.
I want to talk about if you guys get a chance. We talked about this person before, Jordan B. Peterson. He is probably one of the most incredible thought leaders going on in the world today. He's a University of Toronto professor who taught at Harvard, and he's basically someone who does psychoanalysis on people's brains, clinical behavior. Yeah. And then there's this guy, Jocko, Willink, who has a podcast. And
you might have seen him on Fox.
Yeah, he's on Fox sometimes. He's a badass. He was the leading, the captain of the busiest Navy SEAL team.
SEAL Team 3.
Yeah, SEAL Team 3. And Jocko on his podcast 98. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying it's really long. It's like 3 hours and change.
You got to break it up.
But let me explain something to you. It goes on so many incredible tangents that it's a must-see for anybody
must
who
see, must listen.
must-see, must-listen. For anybody who wants to know about leadership or personal responsibility or accountability.
Just how to be a confident person and a leader.
Life lessons. Yeah. But it starts off, and it's weird because when I tell you this, it's not going to seem to match what we talked about. But when you first, what happens in Jocko kind of has the same format. He gets on, and his producer is named Echo Charles, who's his friend, and he welcomes Echo Charles. And then before he tells you who his guest is, and a lot of his guests are authors. He picks a lot of authors of great books. And what he does is he'll read you an excerpt of the book. And long story short is the excerpt he read, it goes around 3 or 4 minutes, but it is some of the most horrific stuff of what you want to, what you ever hear or read. And it's about evil and how evil is out there, and we need to face it and confront it and not run away from it. And basically what he talked about was this was an excerpt of a woman, a Middle Eastern woman, an Iraqi woman, who was the wrong religion. And she was captured. And when she was captured, she had her period. She was young. She was only 14, I think. And her mother and her 2 sisters were captured and taken away. To this day, she doesn't know what happened to them. I think her brother and father were killed. They were murdered. They were put on fire. So this poor girl who's 14 sees this. These guys go to rape her, and she had her period. So as you can imagine, she describes what happens during the course of the night from this man and many of his friends. And the way she describes it, she describes that their odor is so foul and so horrific. She calls them beasts. Yeah. And then after all this goes on with this poor girl, she basically says that she escaped. She escaped the camp, and now she has this addiction where she's addicted to washing her mouth out with like Listerine, and she does it like 50 times a day because she feels so dirty. And then after Jocko reads this, he turns to Jordan Peterson, who he introduces, and Jordan goes into a whole diatribe that's fascinating about how evil needs to be addressed and how evil was in the Holocaust. And he gives you facts and scientific studies. He's just an incredibly bright man. He's amazing. Yeah.
And one of the best things to take away from that, if you're raising kids, you're a leader of a company, anything like that, is that instill confidence in your children, your people that are working for you, anything. Instill confidence, not obedience.
Yeah.
Do not just make them obedient. Make them confident, because with obedience and just obedience, there's going to become resentment in the future. So if you still instill confidence in the person to make them understand that they can do what you're doing, they can do what they're doing best by themselves with other people. There's nothing to it.
Yeah,
all their mind and their confidence.
He goes through a life like he says something that I'm a huge believer, and it's never too young for a child or a young adult to work.
Yeah,
and Jocko asked him about jobs, and Jordan Peterson said that he took a job as a dishwasher, and he goes, "You would think a dishwasher is a job that
a man with 160 IQ gets washing dishes."
He was 13 or 14, and he said that the dishes kept piling up, and he'd go home every night and tell his father, "Dad, I can't keep up with the dishes. The amount of dishes are insane." And he had a cook, he said, who was an older man, who just would watch him and wouldn't yell at him, but kind of say, "Come on, you got to speed it up. You got to get these dishes clean." So he said that this man wanted to see if he had what it would take to just take it and stand in and not quit. And he said after about a week of not quitting and being frustrated, the man showed him how to organize the dishes and how to do everything properly. Yeah. And he said after that, he was doing the dishes where he wouldn't be finished. He was doing them half the time because he had a system. Yeah. And then he said he learned, and then he went, and then the man took a liking to him and said, "Hey, we're going to hire a dishwasher. We need somebody in the kitchen to cut vegetables and do prep work." And then he did that. And he said the most valuable thing I ever learned at that age was what it was to make money, be proud of what I earned, but learn and get. He goes, from that point on, he goes, if I never became a professor, I could have probably went to go work in a restaurant, or I could have went maybe manage a restaurant because I have experience. And he's like, you're doing your kids a huge disservice by admitting that they're too busy, they can't work.
He said one of the worst things you can do is tie your kids' shoes.
Exactly.
Don't tie your children's shoes. Make them tie it themselves.
Exactly. And he has a lot of stuff like that. His leadership thing, like Sal mentioned, he quotes a study from Gary Latham and Edwin Locke, where he says they had two groups, and one group would give their life goals, another group would give their work goals. And usually when you're at your job, what do? You say, "Oh, I want to do this." He says, "No, don't do that. Give your life goals. Like, if you're talking about your family, I want to send my 2 children to college, or if I want to make sure they go to great college, or I want to make sure that my daughter, whatever the case may be, or my son or my wife, whatever. You do that," he goes, "and they will be proven to be more successful because you're more vested." Yeah. And his life lessons are amazing. You guys got to watch this. It's the Jocko Podcast 98. There's so many pearls of wisdom that you can pull out of it from a guy who's brilliant. And these are, if you watch this for 3 hours and change, these are things that people pay lots of money for.
It'll change you, yeah, for sure. And I mean, you can go into a deep rabbit hole on YouTube on Jordan B. Peterson. Yeah. Amazing videos. He does the stuff called Maps and Meanings, and he also does this thing called the Biblical Series.
Yeah.
And what it does is he'll tell you all the stories you know from the Bible. He'll tell you all the stories you think you know from ancient maps and their meanings. But he puts it in a way that it's about you and psychological significance in your life. Yeah. And the way he does it and the way he speaks so eloquently, it's amazing. It really is. It's a learning experience that you're learning from a Harvard, Toronto professor.
You probably have to pay for it normally.
Oh, man. I mean, he's still an active professor. He does these things in Toronto, too, a lot. He has the shows and stuff, his live shows. But, I mean, this is valuable information. It changes my life every time I listen to this guy.
Absolutely. I think Sal sent this to me last week, I think on a Monday night, I think it was. And I didn't look at it Monday night. So when I woke up the first thing in the morning, I had gone to bed. I woke up at 5 o'clock and I said, "Oh, Jocko and Jordan." I was psyched because I like both. And I think I woke up that morning at 5 o'clock. And I watched 2 hours of it. I watched from 5 to 7. I went to work. And then I got home that night and I watched the other hour. And when I got in, Sal was coming in the house because he worked late that night. And him and I just sat and discussed it. And he watched that work that day. Yeah. We just discussed it for
it's mind-blowing. It's long time. It's powerful stuff. I highly suggest people watch it. I think it probably will drop in the comment section. We'll add a link to it.
Yeah, and good point. And I'll tell you what you'll do. You'll raise your IQ 10 points by watching Jordan Peterson.
Without a doubt.
His vocabulary is brilliant.
You'll become a more well-rounded person and really take into effect what other people are going through.
And it was one thing, the last thing before we go, was cool because Jocko makes a big point. He calls himself a knuckle dragger. And he says, I'm a simple knuckle dragger. I've been a grunt all my life. And here you are, an academic who's brilliant with an IQ of 170 or 160. And he goes, but here's the funny part about it. I do what I do. I'm a military guy. You do what you do. But in reality, we both think the same.
Yeah, and it's crazy how they cross paths.
Yeah, and it was cool to watch because their theories on life are identical. Now, different perspectives, but identical. And Jordan Peterson...
One's a warrior, one's from Canada.
Correct. And it was great. It's incredibly interesting. So I just wanted to finish up with that. And like Sal said, we'll put a link on it. It's a little long, but it's well worth it. But it's a great, great life lesson because you learn as you go through life, you're going to need shit like this because life can change on a dime. It has for me many times. I either made a bad decision, something bad happened to me, out of my control, and in one felt swoop, you go from thinking everything's fine to, like, in my case, I was paralyzed, literally on a gurney for 2.5 weeks, and they told me I would never walk again. And if you want to have a humbling experience, I tell people all the time, I had to do it for 2.5 weeks. From here down, I couldn't move an inch. So think about this, people. You have an itch on your face, can't scratch it. You're hungry, can't feed yourself. You're thirsty, can't drink. You want to watch something on TV or change some music, can't do it. I just sat there just laid there, and you freaked the fuck out. And my doctor I had several, but one of my doctors was also Chris Reeves' doctor, who, if you guys remember, he was Superman. And he was here in New Jersey. He was in a horseback riding accident or a horse equestrian accident. I heard this doctor told my friends and family that my injuries were way worse than Chris Reeves, and that I would never be able to do anything really again. And if you remember what Chris Reeves looked like, he was in pretty bad shape. He lost a lot of weight. He was intubated. He was in a wheelchair. He couldn't talk. He did very sporadically.
Well, he talked like he was breathing.
Yeah, he had like a tube in his throat. It was so. And if you look up a C1, C2 break, which is what I broke, it's 2 highest vertebrae plus my back, 99.4% of people never walk again. So you have to figure this out and say, oh my God, and here I am by the grace of God. I'm here. I'm talking with Sal. I don't complain. I'm okay. I can't turn my neck so well, but who cares? But these are the things that you learn from Jocko, from Dr. Peterson, which really changes your life. Yeah. And it makes you realize that you better go out and you better accept responsibility and you better go out and have accountability for what you do, because life's hard. They don't claim that it's easy. No one does. It's hard. And sometimes, there's people who have it way worse than me, way worse. And there's some people who have it easier than me. Who cares? It's called life for a reason. So all these things we talk about on a daily basis, go out and read this stuff or listen to it, because it will make you a better person, and it will make you realize, why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? Why are you trying to do something that's difficult on your own? People have been through it before. Get help. Yeah. And they will give you a roadmap, like Sal said, the map. Maps of meaning. He tells you how to get there. He's been through it, like I have, like whatever. And so don't do the same mistakes that other people have done. Yeah. That's really all I want to say.
Well said.
That's it.
Beautiful.
So wrap it up. Well, everybody, with that being said, guys, my boy Sal checking out. Gary Gabagool, as always, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful Monday night. Starting to turn a little bit here. It's starting to get a little colder here in Jersey. So we'll see you next Monday, and we'll talk all week. And I look forward to all your comments. Me and Sal love it.
We're growing, guys. We're getting bigger.
We are. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. Holy shit, I have to take a leak so bad. I was ready to explode. No, how come? What's the matter? Oh, his balls underneath? That's why. His balls underneath. It is, I think.
He's acting like a nut before that.